Happy Valentine's Day, rolling out Reality Check family. This is your host, Crystal Jordan. And even though Valentine's Day was yesterday, it was the weekend. And so I didn't get a chance to hang out with you. And so I wanted to say happy Valentine's Day. We're going to celebrate love and Valentine's Day today. We have a very, very special show planned. I'm so excited to talk to my guest today because she is one of the experts on Married at First Sight. And if you know me, you know that I am all about Married at First Sight. It's one of my favorite guilty pleasures. And this season has been so explosive. It's been trending, unfortunately, not for all the right reasons, but I'm sure she's going to clear some things up. So I'm going to bring her on. And then we're also going to talk about self-love. I have a really great product that I want to share with you guys because we know that people focus on loving others and their romantic relationships, but really, the best Valentine's Day has to start from within. It has to be all about loving yourself. And so I have a product that is going to help us do this. But right now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my guest, Dr. Viviana.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Valentine's Day to you, first of all.
Happy Valentine's Day to you and all of your viewers.
Yes. Well, thank you. Well, first, did you have a great Valentine's Day? I know it was yesterday, but today, because it's Monday and it was on a weekend, I thought we would kind of pull it out and celebrate today as well. But did you have a great Valentine's Day weekend?
Well, I spent it with my colleagues. I spent it with Pastor Cal and with Dr. Pepper. And so, yes, they are my TV loves, and did spend pretty much the whole day together. It was really special, but not as special as it would have been if I had been able to spend the time with my own hubby. So we're going to have to postpone it. There's a lot of weather going on in Houston.
Oh, yes, I saw that. I actually grew up in Oklahoma, which is not far from Texas. And there's bad weather there as well. I actually have a cousin in Houston that's dealing with that. So we're sending warm wishes your way.
We do not know how to handle it. It's so funny. Everyone's like, it's just a little snow. But in Houston, there's never just a little snow. First of all, it happens like once a decade.
I heard, yeah.
It's like craziness. So yeah, it wasn't a super special Valentine's Day, but we'll have time to celebrate Love Day on another time.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I know we have so many questions. People are so excited that you're here. I'm really excited that you're here, but I actually sent you a gift because I love the work that you guys do. We had Pastor Cal on. I can't wait to talk to Dr. Pepper, but I really feel like on this show, it's part of the reason I love it so much, is because I feel like you guys really are rooting for love. Like you're really advocates of love.
I'm really glad that comes through because absolutely. We are the biggest advocates and cheerleaders for love. Sometimes it feels like we're out in the void by ourselves, really going for it and really hoping, to always get 5 for 5 out of our matches. There's a lot that goes into really making these lifelong marriages.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like there's no one who understands like the three of us.
I'm sure.
and sometimes it's a thankless job, sometimes it's just, give us our match and let us move on. And that's okay too. We really try to be as helpful and open and honest in the whole process as possible.
Right. Well, like I said, we're going to get into that, but I wanted to tell you, like I said, I sent you a gift because we love what you guys do. And we feel like self-love is the most important thing. So I partnered with a company called Array, and this is the box that you will get. This was your Valentine's Day gift from us.
Thank you so much. That's really special. I'm excited about it. I will absolutely post once I get it. Right now there's like, who knows where I'm going to be when it gets to me, but definitely I'll post about it. So thank you.
Well, we just wanted to give it to you to say we appreciate you, and we thought it would be good. I'm going to run a quick little clip from them just to share self-love with everybody. And then we are going to get into Married at First Sight, this season 12 that has everybody talking. Like I said, not necessarily for the right reasons, but at least we're talking about love. So without further ado, here is our special guest, Lorraine and Company, who are the sponsors for this edition of Reality Check. We're going to bring you a little bit of video that's all about self-love. All right.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm like, there's anticipation now. I can't wait to check my mail.
And this is basically how the inside looks. It's all these little candles. So we're doing like a special for people that sign up today, but that's for you. So without further ado, I want to talk about season 12. And I know that people are anxious and have so many questions for you, but I'm going to go ahead and run a clip that I think kind of shows one of the couples, obviously is Chris and Paige, that people are really, 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 really like, it's heartbreaking and just wondering about. So I want to run this clip and then we're going to talk about season 12.
Great.
I think that on paper, like, we are like you're everything that I need, but like, I don't think that the attraction is fully there yet, for me, to be perfectly honest.
This is my husband. Like, we are legally married. You literally just met me 12 hours ago, and you've already formed this opinion about me. I feel like if he had that conversation with me last night, before we even touch, kiss, whatever, I would have been at peace with that. But we became intimate last night and this morning. I am so confused. I've never been with a man who wants to have sex multiple times that didn't desire me or didn't find me attractive.
Sky opens wide, you close your eyes, now it won't find you.
That was so sad. That was so the way you guys put the music and everything. Oh my God, it's so sad.
Yeah.
But
this needs to be something other than water to watch, you know?
I know. We have
it
the
never
candles.
gets any easier.
We needed the wine in addition to the candles. But seriously, I don't even, people are asking me to ask the questions. I want you to just kind of speak to, because I've seen that you've actually talked to people on some of the websites and said, hey, you know, you guys, these are people's lives. Some of the comments are really, really, really harsh. But I also think this season we're seeing a situation that we've never seen before. And it feels like Chris just was not ready for this show. And to the viewer. So what's your feedback on this?
Yeah, I think it's time to unpack a lot of that. And I'm so glad that you're able to ask those questions that your viewers have, because I think they're speaking for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the biggest concern is, of course, for Paige and what's going on for Paige.
Mm-hmm.
I have, out of turn, maybe spoken out a little bit. And I think what a lot of viewers and maybe followers of mine, followers of yours, followers of the show will find is that there's no right answer to any of this other than we are always pro healthy relationships. And finding that our couples are struggling is never something that the three of us find to be healthy or satisfying or any of that. And I think that because I went on a live and was like, hey guys, like, let's just talk about other stuff. But then every once in a while, I do get a question about the show. And because I do not do spoilers, nor would I ever want to, I never speak highly of or low of any of our participants in order to not give anything away. And I think that what happens is when that happened, I kind of got into this place of like, okay, let's just chill out. Like everybody just, you'll wait and see, just watch. And I think a lot of people misinterpret not just what I say, but what every one of the experts says. Everyone reads into everything. And I think that by me saying chill out, it came across the wrong way for sure. But basically what I was trying to get to was there doesn't need to be so much hate. Especially because that's not helping anybody. That's not helping anyone in any situation. Hate never helps anyone. So I feel like while it may be easy to target one of our participants because of their bad behavior, as a professional, I don't get to do that.
Right.
I don't get to just hate on someone or tear them down. What I try to do and what we are able to do, so fortunately throughout this process, is meet with our couples, meet with them as individuals to really try to figure out what is going on. Is it always clear? No. Are there ever times where they don't take our advice? Absolutely. And with this situation, we definitely wanted to get Paige out of such a
hurtful situation.
Surprising and very hurtful situation. But just like, Crystal, are you in a relationship or are you married or anything?
I am engaged.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So once you're married, no one can drag you to a courthouse and make you divorce, just like they can't drag you to a courthouse to make you get married. Same with, and I think a lot of people truly did expect us to drag Paige out of this situation when she's a full-on adult and she would have to make that decision for herself. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Let me ask you this, going back, because I think that people are just feeling, people get emotional about this show. This is not the only season that people have been. I am one of the emotional people, Dr. Viviana. I am, because it's just, you're watching and you really want love to win. But I have to ask, going back, if you guys, do you think that if you all knew that Chris had just gotten out of a relationship, because I thought that Pastor Cal even kind of questioned him a little bit about if he was really ready, but hearing that he had been engaged and in love with someone 3 months before makes it feel very much like this was a way for him to try to get over it, or, just like a rebound thing that he wasn't really healed from. Do you think that he was ready? Just honestly, that he was ready, considering everything that we know now, just up into the episode that we've seen, it seems like he definitely was not ready to be on the show. Or to be married.
To kind of go back to what your first question was if we had known that he had been engaged, if we had known that Chris had been engaged, months prior to applying and then going through the process of possibly being matched, we knew that he had been engaged that one time. We knew that he had an overall 7-month-long relationship, with the final 2 months being an engagement from February to the end of March, early April.
Okay.
That's what he told us. That's what we got. We have had several participants who have been engaged before. And while for a lot of viewers, they might say, how on earth could somebody who was engaged recently make it through the casting process? I'm here to tell you, somebody being engaged before isn't always a red flag. That is not going to be something that knocks them out of the running for possibly being matched with someone. He assured us that was a Hail Mary pass that didn't go well, and it was over in 2 months and they were done and over with.
Right.
I'll be very honest with you. Of course, we knew that he was engaged. That's actually something that he had in his questionnaire.
Okay.
That one time we knew that he was engaged. And so that is not a concern for me, especially as a therapist. I see lots of relationships that maybe engagements end, but what it does show us is that they are willing to make that commitment to someone else. Does it always work out? No, but that's real life.
Right, right. That is true. So, but if you guys knew the extent and how quickly, because it seems like he was saying that he was intimate with his fiance. He wasn't finished with the relationship very much.
Oh, no, we didn't know that.
Right.
No, we had no idea that he was even in contact with her.
Right.
We had no idea that they had any sort of relationship past the end of the engagement, late March, possibly early April at the latest. So, yeah, that would have been extremely helpful information. But, it's funny because I see that Pastor Cal asked him straight up, is there anyone else? Now, he tends to do that with a lot of people. I mean, I think he did it with Keith. I think he did it with Brett. I think he did it because he does want to know, just like we all do, whether or not there could be someone out there. And I think that for us, we were really convinced by that point that, of course, he's going to say no because there is no one out there. We don't ask that last minute question.
Right.
And I think that unfortunately, my goodness, it came to pass that it's possible there was someone else and that he wasn't being truthful and that question wasn't just a simple question.
Right. Right. I think so. I think there's so much outrage over Chris. And then people are saying with Paige, they're angry. I've seen a lot of people angry at her because she's not standing up for herself. And that throws me off because I feel like, to me, up until what we've seen, when people get on the show, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they are, if they're there for the right reasons, they believe in this process. And in Paige, I see someone that's believing in the process, and maybe she's in a bad situation, but her not rejecting him initially shows that she just really was committed to this idea of really being married.
As everyone should be. You're going on to Married at First Sight.
Right.
It's not a surprise. Right. This is season 12. This is not a new show. People should understand very fully what the premise is. And that is that this is for truly ready people, ready for marriage, ready for love, ready for this process, ready for our feedback.
Right.
And I think that Paige exemplifies that and has continued to exemplify the commitment that it takes. Does it look exactly like what we would hope is the question? It almost seems like her commitment is unwavering. Again, so that is on her, and we can guide her and we can say, hey, this is what we're observing. You're not alone. You're not crazy.
Right.
You're not crazy in seeing that this has some unhealthy, very unhealthy features to this marriage.
Right.
But we cannot force anyone to choose to divorce or to leave someone. And that is real life.
Right. No, it is. I mean, people are in relationships like that. Not to waver off of this season, but there have been past seasons, and I've always wanted to ask one of you guys if there are seasons. There's this big question of, are men able to develop attraction over time? Women, obviously, we've seen some of the best couples that you guys have, and you guys have a lot of success stories. We love the success stories. Last season was amazing, but there are times where where the guy just doesn't feel that connection, and men don't seem to be able to get over that hump. In your opinion, because this has been a board post debate off and on, are men able to develop attraction with over time if it's not there initially the way women are, or do you think it's more difficult? In what you guys have witnessed, is it more difficult for them to find a connection if they're not immediately physically attracted?
I think the history of our participants speaks for itself. And because of the experience on the show, for sure, I think that it is much more risky to not really hone in on a man's attraction and what that template looks like.
Right.
But we are not mind readers. And if you tell us that you are open to this and look at this person and look at that person, but this is what I really want, we take all of that into consideration. But if physical attraction and the way that someone looks is your number one motivator in a relationship, why are you coming on to Married at First Sight where you never get to see this person?
Right. That's true.
I mean,
I don't want to get into it like Zach, like for someone that would not move in, like why would you come on a show where there's a big possibility that it may not be exactly your dream girl physically? Like, and what recourse are you guys trying to figure out how to handle that? Because that does seem to be, I mean, Katie, there's so many situations where the girl is just there hurt because the guy doesn't feel that connection to her. And then when it happens the other way, we see women really, really are able to get over that. So is there, I mean, not that any of us have the answers for love, but is there a way to get I don't know, can you guys maybe narrow in on the questionnaires for the guys so that
we do, Crystal. We absolutely do. We make it so incredibly clear how important it is. We don't care about being politically correct. We want good matches. We want you to have the love of a lifetime. We don't care if you want a particular hair color, height, facial features, whatever, shade, shape, all of that. We just want you to be clear with us and be honest with us.
Right.
But if you tell us that you are this open, you know what? I think it's not a big deal. Guess what? You're probably going to get something that isn't as honed in. So absolutely, we learn very quick. I mean, I can tell you very honestly, we have learned so much about how to ask questions, what to ask, when someone isn't being as open and transparent. And that's why there are 3 of us, because then we get to triple team them to really figure out, okay, what did he say in your room? What did he say in your room? Well, this is what I gathered in mind. Because what someone says to me may not be the same thing that they say to Dr. Pepper or Pastor Cal. And that's what's so beautiful about this team, is that we all have different strengths and we all have different vibes and really things that we hone in on. Right.
Well, I love that. And I love that you guys do have a very different approach, but it seems like you guys all are genuinely there to help the couples. You talk a lot about, just the intimacy, and that is a big thing on the show because you're marrying someone that you have no idea. We see some couples are with it and it's like, okay, this is my husband. I'm going to act like he's my husband on the wedding night. Other couples, we saw Miles and Karen go the entire season without a lot of intimacy, with no intimacy really at all. And it actually worked. We loved season 11, just such amazing connections. But in your opinion, and just in relationships, period, how important is that intimate connection, not just sex, but also that physical touch, that consistency? How important is that? And how can couples work to make sure that both sides are satisfied? Because we saw, like with Miles and Karen, like Miles wanted a lot more attention, a lot more physical touch. She wasn't really comfortable with that. And that happens, every season. You see someone who's a little bit more ready and then someone else who's not. And then there's some that are both ready from the jump.
Imagine that, just like in real life. I think that what I like to make sure to tell them is that it doesn't really matter if they decide to breach that sexual boundary or not. I think that for a lot of people, they want to know whether or not their partner can sexually satisfy them before making that decision on decision day. I think there's a lot of real weight that they place on the sexual satisfaction. I think that sexual intimacy and physical intimacy is a really important factor in any healthy marriage. But there is no pressure, at least not from us, to make sure that that's something that they figure out. Because what I have found is that most people who experience emotional intimacy experience greater levels of sexual satisfaction and physical intimacy. So there's not going to be any pressure from the three of us to say, hey, get it on so you can see what this is all about. But I can understand that there is a little bit of that curiosity, because for a lot of people, if sexuality is very, very important to them, they want to know, okay, we got this, or we don't have this, but we've got a little ways to go, or wow, we just don't click in the bedroom. Now, I do ask a lot of questions about who they are in sexually intimate relationships and what they want and what they're looking for. That is a part of the matchmaking process, because I would love for them to have that sexual chemistry right off the bat. Whether or not they choose to act on it is totally up to them.
Right. That's interesting. It's always interesting. And I'm sure it's a viewer favorite to watch, like what happens on that wedding night. And then you see some of them slowly develop, and then others, it's interesting to see them react to each other. Again, there are so many differences, and I wonder, the viewers this season are really asking what goes into picking and putting couples together. So when we see someone like Virginia and Eric that obviously they're attracted to each other, but they're very different. Their personalities are very different. So I wonder, and I guess, you don't necessarily want people that are exactly the same, but can you talk a little bit about the process and how you all decide, even if people have differences, how do you kind of gauge if they'd be able to balance each other out with those differences?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think we've ever had any two people who are exact opposites or who are exactly the same. I think if anything, we find people who have a lot of similarities, a lot of socioeconomic, cultural similarities, and things that they would really enjoy about each other, because the truth is, everyday life is not about politics. It's not all about your spiritual beliefs and your financial goals. Everyday life is about just having a good time and being able to support each other. So first and foremost, I know that I go into it feeling like, can these people enjoy each other's company? Can these people just have a good time? Will they smile at each other? Will they treat each other well? Everything else is where the real matchmaking starts. Okay, so we go through, and of course we have outside psychological testers who really go through multiple rounds with all of our participants. We do our home visits where we really try to figure out, can we see any potential matches for the way that this person lives? I don't think a lot of people really think about that. I think they think, well, they go and they rummage through their underwear drawers, but how somebody lives and whether or not we can see a potential match that could live there is very important to us. Of course, we meet with family, friends. We do deep social media dives. But I think that's also something that has come up, is we can only do so much. I'm not an FBI investigator, and I mean, none of us are. And I think that if that was the case, this process wouldn't be nearly as enjoyable, because everyone has something that they're not proud of. Are there some that are going to affect their marriage? Yes. And we really try to do, as a team, we really try to weed those people out. And I think we've done a fairly good job about that. But some people that we meet who are single are very different when they're married. And we don't get to see what happens until you do. When you see them married and who they are after they say I do, that's it. Like, we've already handed over the reins, and they are now in charge of their marriage. And who they decide to be, who they are, we always hope that it aligns with who we saw, because that's who we matched. But if somebody flips a script once they're married, we can't do anything about it. That is a runaway train. Now it's up to them to figure out how to deal with it. And some of our couples do a magnificent job trying to balance each other out, trying to figure things out. And others, it's like a train wreck, and it's so sad. And we lose a lot of sleep, and we're very upset. Very upset. I'm glad you haven't asked me too much about the Chris and Paige thing, because I get a little shaky still.
Well, I more question, just because, like I said, it's such a weird situation. It's different. When I interviewed Pastor Cal, one of the things that he said, because I have people that say, well, can you please ask them, would they have people that are full figured or curvier or, older people? And there's all types of questions. And then one of them was like people that have been married before and may have children. And one of the things that he said is he would not want to put children in this situation. And as soon as he said that, then we have a situation where there's a potential child on the way. So I wonder. And then another thing with Chris and Paige, like I think some of the other couples are interesting. We see that people are like, okay, the age difference and the energy and the party girl in Virginia may not match with Eric, but Chris and Paige, there are just so many issues there. It's hard to really look at anything else. Did you feel, one of the things that made me cringe was when Chris's father questioned Paige about their sex life at the wedding reception. And I was just like, can they save her? Like, can they go in and tell her that she can get out? Can they help
and tell her that she's what?
That she can get out right now? Like, it was just like one of those moments like, oh my God, this is a really scary thing. Like, it just felt very creepy. And I saw a lot of other people said the same thing. It just felt really inappropriate. Is there ever a time, and I definitely want you to address that, but is there a time where if you guys felt like a situation was really mentally unhealthy, you guys would intervene?
Oh, we intervene all the time. Absolutely. Wedding night, first night of honeymoon. If we see that there's a problem, we're on the phone. We are texting, we are calling, we are doing all of those things. There is so much to this process. I mean, we're talking about 8, 10, 12 weeks of working with these couples directly. There's so much that goes into an episode. But remember, I'm so lucky that we do get 2 hours, because at least, there's a lot of hefty weight to our episodes. But that is still, they film for hundreds of hours a week.
Right.
What we do with them, we cannot expect that y'all are going to see everything that we do with these couples and everything that happens behind the scenes. Absolutely. We are like charging in there. But just as quickly as we charge in, if we are not wanted, needed, or if our advice is going to sit for a while, we take a step back, because these are adults and they're, they didn't sign up to be, held, their hands to be held. And, nobody wants me on the corner of the bed saying like, hey, do this, do that. No, like it's not going to happen.
Right.
So I think a lot of people assume that there is a lot happening, or assume that there is not enough happening. Just know, absolutely, we're there. The
blogs and the comments have been, they're leaving her out. She's, because it was hurtful to watch, even on the Unfiltered, to go through watching. And I think it's always hurtful when you have to hear that I'm not attracted to you, especially after you've been intimate with someone. That was just a really hard thing to watch. And I think people are responding because they really are feeling the compassion for this young lady.
Yes. And empathy. They have empathy for every one of our cast members. Thank goodness.
Right.
I'm so glad that they recognize these are not characters. And even though their issues may feel like really hard to witness, I mean, you'll have to remember, like, we've been through it. So we've processed it. We have, the three of us get to support each other. Of course, production helps us with that as well. But so by the time that you're viewing it and it's very raw for you, we've processed some of it. And I think that, for a lot of people, that's how it is in real life. I mean, I keep saying in real life, because I want y'all to remember that these are not unheard of situations.
No, they're not.
We know of baby daddy, baby mama. We know of broken engagements. We know of quick marriages. We know of people who lie. We know of people who are fake. We know of people who stick in relationships when when we're telling them, please leave.
Right.
I unfortunately, and fortunately, I'm not going to say unfortunately, fortunately, Married at First Sight captures the good, the triumphant, but also the bad and the ugly. And if we were to just pinpoint all of the happy parts of every relationship, that doesn't reflect what happens in real life. I'm a therapist. I know this is really happening to people.
Right. Is there, I'm going to just ask you, if you guys knew what you know now, would you have cast Chris?
Well, I don't know that I can share that with you because I feel like that might be giving away a lot.
Okay.
But based off of what we know right now, Chris is not attracted to Paige. He has shared that his ex is pregnant based off of a one-time interaction when she was grieving. He is going back and forth. Based off of what we know so far, I would say, dude, you were clearly not over this past relationship, and you were clearly not as open as you thought you were. So I would, based off of what we know so far, no, he is not an ideal candidate for this at all. Like, and I will own up to this, like I thought he was.
Right.
I absolutely thought, based off of what we saw and based off of what he let us see, all three of us, I really thought that we had a really great, smart, confident young Black man that would represent good values. And as of right now, there's egg on my face. Do I like that? No. Do I learn from it? Absolutely. Right. But we have to wait and see what happens and if he can turn it around.
Yeah. Well, people are definitely tuning in. I wonder, one of the things that he said made me think of a question to ask you. He said, well, on paper, we look great. And, there's this whole idea of being like relationship goals and the couple that is the power couple. I think a lot of people want that. And you see, I think that was mentioned in the last season, we're a great power couple. But is that as important? Do you think that people should be focused? Because it seems like if you're focused on what other people will think about you, you're going to miss out on what really connects you as two people that may or may not go through this. So to say that someone is great on paper with you suggests that maybe they're there for the wrong reasons to me.
Well, no, because all of the matching that we do is on paper. So if it was not on paper, then it wouldn't be married at first sight. With most ambitious men and women that we see, they want a partnership that is going to propel them forward, that is going to get them to a place of power, a place of prestige, a place of ambition. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting those things. I don't think that it's for every couple, but there should be a lot of couples who are reaching for the stars and who want a great support system or a partner to really reach new heights in their career, in their personal lives, whatever it is. That doesn't scare me. And I think we've had other couples in the past who really find out that they can be a power couple. For Chris, it was very important to him that he find a match and that we find a match for him who is strong, driven, intelligent, who is spiritually based, who really has her stuff together. And Paige is all those things for sure.
She was definitely what he said. He also mentioned a lot wanting someone that didn't want him for his money. And she definitely is very successful and that wouldn't be what she would need.
No, she doesn't need his money. She does not need his money.
If he has as much as he said. But I wonder, do you all do fact checking as far as people's stories? Because that's another thing we saw. Someone said, oh, I make this amount of money. And then it came out later, I don't make that much money. Like, is there a way to check that they are actually who they say they are? A lot of questions have been raised about Chris being an actual entrepreneur and franchise owner. And then it's like, oh, that's not necessarily the way it says. So is there a way to fact check that? So at least people know this is who I'm really getting. When I go home.
That is a great example of how we've stepped up our practices to make sure that people do have the employment that they say they have.
Right.
There are credit checks, there are employment verifications, all of that.
Right.
And they do have to pass all of that. Now, there is no pass or fail because, you know, there isn't like a baseline amount of money that you need to be making to have a healthy marriage.
Right.
But we do try to figure out if the potential matches that we're looking at would be able to be okay. I mean, we don't want anyone really, really struggling financially, because as a therapist, I know that money, sex, and kids are the killers of marriages. So we don't want to set them up for, you know, really
Failure.
an uphill battle. But
Right.
yes, it's something that we've learned that we can do, and we absolutely do it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. What is your favorite? I'm going to leave Chris and Paige alone. We're going to tune in every
Yeah,
Wednesday.
because we have some amazing couples that we're looking at, and it's not all about Chris and Paige. That's
We
for
do.
sure.
We love Vincent and is it Brianna? We love that. I mean, there's a lot of potential for love with all the other couples. I think sometimes bad news travels faster, but like I said, even season 11 was full of just Amelia and Bennett. Like, we love Woody. Like, it was just beautiful things that make you love Married at First Sight. You guys really are doing a great job. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, is there a couple, maybe a couple that is your favorite love story? Like, you were a part of them, you know, working it out, and it just really speaks to what is the best thing about this show for you.
Oh my goodness, that's like asking who's my favorite child. You know, because I am a therapist and I work with clients who are experiencing really, really difficult issues, there's something about Jamie and Elizabeth from season 9 who showed that just because you have a really rocky start doesn't mean that you're finished, especially through this process. It has to be, you know, just hell on earth. And I love that the two of them truly believe in the power of therapy and in the power of getting outside help. I think that anyone who advocates for therapy when needed, whether it's individual or coupled, there's something about them that feels like they're just enlightened, right? Because I truly believe in the profession that I'm in. So yeah, there's something special about them, but we have some really strong marriages. I think a lot of people think about our track record and they're like, oh, you know, it's just so many out of whatever. But two things about that. One is these are strong marriages. These aren't just we're staying together. Like, these people are having babies, having several babies, or if they don't want to have babies, they are enjoying their lives together.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to say about our track record is that, so in the first 6 seasons of the show, there were 6 pairings and matches that have stayed to this day.
Wow.
In the first 8 seasons of the show, there were 6. And just in the last 4 to 5 seasons, we've had another 6. So we are progressing. I think we are doing better. And it's not just the matchmakers, right? It's not just Pastor Cal, Dr. Pepper, and I. It's that we're getting people who truly want to get married. We can only match the people who apply. So we're getting some really great people who are committed, who are really trying to get that love of their lives. And so I'm so glad every time we see a new batch of candidates and applications, because these are all people that we're really hoping will give us that 5 for 5. But you know what? If anyone finds their love match through this and is a strong marriage, like, that's a huge win. I don't think we can poo-poo that.
Yeah, no, and then you have people that have gone off and got it, and I guess learned from this experience and had, you know, I watched the after shows where you see couples that they're now friends, but they went on to find love elsewhere. Last question. I appreciate you hanging out with us this long, because we had so many people are still commenting and still joining. Any lessons, especially because we know we all went through a very rough year and a lot of marriages were tested because of everything that happened in 2020. As a therapist, and then of course as one that we enjoy watching on television, what advice would you give to couples that may be still going through a rocky stage because of just the changes that we're all experiencing because of our day-to-day lives, jobs being different, some people losing jobs, people being crammed in the house together, unable to get a break, kids being home, virtual learning, everything has changed. So what advice can you give to couples that are trying to stay in there but are really dealing with some rough patches?
This is a super challenging time, but there's always going to be challenges in our lives, and especially in marriages and in monogamous relationships. There are going to be struggles. And I think that the number one tip for not just people who are married, but for people who are watching our show is to not assume the worst of the people around you.
Oh, wow.
Give them the benefit of the doubt or ask a question. When you're with a partner and you want to really find out what's going on because maybe your feelings are hurt or maybe you're confused, ask a question. Do not assume the worst of them. I'm always trying to help our couples, not just on the show, but my couples in my practice, to create a bit of cushion. You don't want to fall flat on your bottom every single time you make a mistake.
Right.
Give someone the benefit of the doubt by asking them, hey, what do you mean by that? Or, wow, that kind of hurt my feelings. What did you mean?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are really struggling even with watching this show because they immediately are jumping to conclusions. And they're jumping to conclusions that, my goodness, they are wrong.
Yeah.
But just like in relationships, when you do that, it doesn't go well and it doesn't breed trust and it doesn't breed a long-term partnership. So I would just say, ask the questions, don't assume the worst, and give your partnership and maybe even give us as the matchmakers on Married at First Sight a little bit of leeway, because you're probably making assumptions that aren't based on truth.
Or all the truth. You don't always have the whole truth.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Viviana. Anything that you want to tell us to tune in? This is Monday. We definitely are going to be tuned in on Wednesday. Anything that you can share with us about the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think that because we're so fortunate to have 5 couples that we're following through this, you're going to take some bits of knowledge and what to do and what not to do, right? I mean, that's part of the reason why I love this show and that I'm a part of it and that I've watched it, is because I love to see that there are both things that you would learn not to do and things that you would learn to do in love.
Right.
And there is definitely always, because kinetic content is so good about making sure that we get lots of information, you're going to see all sorts of a roller coaster, but that is love, especially when it's in the limelight with lots of strangers and through a pandemic. I mean, my goodness, like this is still happening. So 8 weeks of good, bad, ugly, fun, triumph, love, all of that. It's worth tuning in on Wednesday nights on Lifetime, 8, 7 Central.
Thank you. And next, you guys are headed to what city next?
We are headed to my hometown of Houston.
Oh my gosh. That's definitely going to be interesting. I can't wait to see that. Well, again, thank you so much. I look forward to you getting your self-love kit.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will definitely be tuning in on Wednesday, Dr. Viviana. Thank you.
Bye, Crystal. Thanks for the time.
All right. Well, that is our reality check for today. I know that some of you guys didn't get your questions answered, but some of y'all weren't going to get the questions answered regardless. We're just going to have to wait. She's not going to tell us what's coming up with Paige and Chris, but I do think that from her explanation today, that Paige is not in a hurtful situation, and whatever choices we've seen her make up until now, she has made them on her own. The reality check for tonight was from Dr. Viviana, and that is give people the benefit of the doubt in love and life. In every aspect, try to give people a little bit more lead, but don't be so quick to judge and to go with the negative over the positive. So I thank her for that reality check. This has been your host, Crystal Jordan. Tune in Monday because we have another Married at First Sight past cast member that's going to join us, that's in love, is going to talk all about their experience on Married at First Sight. We'll definitely let you guys know who that is. I don't want to say it right now because it's a huge surprise, but I'm excited to have them come and share their love story with us. So tune in next Monday, 8 p.m. right here on Rolling Out. This has been your host, Crystal Jordan, and I'm wishing you guys, again, a very happy Valentine's Day. Make sure to go to LorayCo.com to get your set of candles to give yourself a little self-love. Let them know that Crystal and Reality Check sent you, and they'll give you a 10% discount. We'll see you guys next time.